Rain was falling quite heavily that afternoon. In a small town, right in front of a modest shop, sat an elderly man named Hassan. He was likely over 65 years old. His hair had turned completely white. He wore simple clothes, and on his feet, he wore only an old pair of sandals that were already worn out and thinning. Every day, Hassan earned his living carrying goods at the market, not because he chose to, but simply because he had to. His wife was often unwell and sickly. Meanwhile, his only child had left home long ago to seek work far away and rarely sent any news or word of himself. That day had not been a good one for him. Ever since morning, hardly anyone had asked for his help or hired his services. What little he had earned was barely enough to cover even their basic needs for the following day. While sitting there waiting for the rain to ease, Hassan noticed a young boy, roughly around 10 years old, standing near the front of the shop. The boy was wearing his school uniform. His school bag looked old and worn. But what caught Hassan's attention most of all was the boy's footwear. His shoes were torn and broken. The front part had split open wide, leaving his toes clearly exposed. The boy stood there quietly for a long time, gazing intently at the display window. He was not looking at toys. He was not looking at sweets or food. Instead, his eyes were fixed upon a shelf of inexpensive shoes placed near the entrance. Hassan watched him quietly for several minutes. Then he spoke gently. "Son, are you waiting for someone?" The boy turned his head around. "No, sir. I'm not waiting for anyone." "Then why are you standing here in the rain?" The boy gave a small, quiet smile. "I was just looking around." Hassan nodded slowly in understanding. But before he turned away, he saw the boy glance down and stare sadly at his own broken shoes. And right then, Hassan understood clearly. The boy truly wanted a pair of proper shoes. Yet deep down, he probably knew he could never afford to buy them. Hassan opened his old worn-out wallet. He carefully counted every coin and bill he had earned that day. If he used that money now to buy the shoes, he himself might struggle and go hungry tomorrow. But if he didn't, at least he still had enough left to buy food for tonight's meal. Hassan took a long, deep breath. Then he slowly stood up. "Listen, child, go ahead and pick whichever pair you like best." The boy froze in surprise. "Sir, just choose whatever you want." "That's all right, really. You don't need to." "I insist. Go choose." The young boy looked confused and unsure. His eyes slowly began to fill with glistening tears. Very softly and slowly, he pointed toward a simple pair of black shoes. They were not expensive or fancy, but they were sturdy, neat, and good enough. Hassan paid for the pair of shoes. The boy held the shoebox tightly in both hands, just as though he were holding something extremely precious and valuable. "Thank you so much. Truly thank you, sir." Hassan simply smiled warmly. "Study hard and do well in school, all right?" The boy nodded again and again, unable to speak from happiness. Then he ran all the way home, hugging his precious box close to his chest. That night, Hassan walked home with his purse almost entirely empty. When he arrived, his wife asked him, "How was your day today?" Hassan gave a soft, gentle smile. It went well enough. He told her nothing about the shoes or what he had done, because in his heart he believed. Not every act of kindness needs to be spoken about or told. Weeks turned into months. Months kept passing by. Hassan's life remained simple and humble. It remained hard and full of difficulty. Yet he kept going, working hard every single day. Then one morning, while he was lifting heavy sacks at the market, suddenly someone called out his name. "Mr. Hassan?" Hassan turned around. Standing there was a young man, neatly dressed and smiling warmly at him. Hassan felt confused and puzzled. "I'm sorry, forgive me, but do I know you?" The young man smiled even brighter. "You might have forgotten, sir, but I have never forgotten you." He pointed down toward his own feet. "A long time ago, you once bought me a pair of shoes." Hassan stood completely still, stunned and silent. It took him a few moments before the memory finally returned clearly to his mind. That boy, the young child standing out in front of the shop. The young man nodded with emotion. "Yes, sir, exactly. That little boy had grown up and become a fine young man. He had successfully finished his schooling. He continued studying further, and now he had a steady job and a good life." He looked deeply at Hassan and said, "I spent nearly 2 years searching everywhere just to find you again." Hassan still could hardly believe this was happening. "But why did you search so hard for me?" The young man breathed slowly and deeply. "Because back then, you didn't just simply buy me a pair of shoes. You gave me something far greater. You made me truly believe that good people still existed in this world." He paused, then continued softly. "At that time, my mother had only recently passed away. My father left us and went away forever. I was ready to drop out and stop going to school completely. But those shoes you gave me, they made me feel strong enough to keep walking to school every day. It might seem like something very small and simple to anyone else, but for me, it changed the whole course of my life forever." Tears began to fill Hassan's eyes. Then the young man handed over a large cloth bag. "Now it is my turn to do something for you, sir." Inside the bag lay a brand new, high-quality pair of shoes, along with many supplies and necessities for their home and daily life. Hassan looked at everything in silence for a long moment. Then he spoke quietly and gently. "All I did back then was just buy a simple, ordinary pair of shoes." The young man smiled kindly. "Sometimes, something ordinary and simple from our point of view can be something incredibly valuable and meaningful to someone else. Life often makes us believe that kindness must always be grand and great, that it must cost much or be special and extraordinary. But truthfully, more often than we realize, one small act of help, one simple moment of care and attention, one action that seems small and insignificant, has the power to completely change the direction of another person's entire life. Because in the end, goodness is almost never truly lost or wasted. Sometimes, it simply takes time to find its way back home to you."